can see a chart that looks at the total world population over the last several hundred years. And at first glance, this is a bit scary. We go from less than 1 billion in 1800, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.4 billion where we are today. So we've taken that chart that shows the global population growth, and we've actually extended it out all the way to 2100. And we can see that instead of continuing, it actually flattens out. Now, 11 billion people, still a lot, but the good news is that the faster we improve health, the faster family size goes down.
Just think about that for a moment before we bring in Seamus. Just think about that. Imagine looking at a chart showing all that new life on Earth. Billions and billions and billions of people, more people alive, breathing, living their life. And imagine looking at that and thinking it's a bad thing and coming up with the plan to eliminate the problem. I'm telling you right now, the 21st century monsters are worse than the 20th century monsters. You just don't know it yet. Joining me now, Seamus Bruner. I bet you he knows it. He's the author of the book you should pick up if you want to know how these people think. It's called Controligarchs. I love that freaking name. Seamus, people do not understand how these people think. They haven't fully grasped it because he looks like a big nerd with glasses and the flowery music, and he's got, of course, the tables and charts. They don't understand how these people think, brother.
Yeah, no, that's right, Jesse. It's great to be with you. It's pretty scary when you read through, hundreds of pages of manifestos and books from organizations like the World Economic Forum. You really do find that at the end of the day, they're pretty much anti-human. And, that may not shock the savvy listeners of your show, but at the Government Accountability Institute, we follow the money, and we followed it all the way to the top, to organizations like Davos and men like Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos. And what we found was pretty shocking. I mean, we found that in some cases, they doubled their net worth over the course of the pandemic, certainly adding tens of billions of dollars to their personal net worth, like Bill Gates. The characters in the book, their personal net worth tops $1.2 trillion. That's a lot of money at their disposal. But we're capitalists, so we don't have any problems with making money. What really blew us away is what they're spending this money on, and it's seizing control of key industries that affect every aspect of your life. And so they for energy, for example, they talk about climate change and wanting to fix climate change. But just imagine this scenario. You're in the middle of the night, you wake up as it's now winter, you're freezing, and you go to your thermostat, you try to turn up the heat, and you can't. You've been locked out. You don't have control over the temperature in your own home. Now, that may sound like conspiracy theory, but just ask the residents of Colorado and even Texas and the Communist Republic of California. They've all experienced scenarios in which their smart thermostats, so-called smart, locked them out of their home. Now, they clicked I agree to one of the many I agree EULAs and didn't realize that they wouldn't be able to change the temperature of their own home. So Amazon technology is making that possible. Google, Microsoft technology is making that possible. And then we looked at other industries too, the food industry, the information industry, et cetera. All of these have been taken control of just in the past few years.
Seamus, okay, so I'm trying to wrap my mind around this, and it's a very, very good read. I want people to read it to understand something. So the people who are seizing control, and in many cases have seized control of our energy, our food, and our medicine, are all the same people who are proud to admit on camera that the Earth's population should go down by billions. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, Jesse, you have that right. And it really goes back to, the World Economic Forum was founded by a lot of the same people who are part of this so-called Club of Rome. The Club of Rome, most people haven't heard of the Club of Rome, but it published back in the 60s a book called The Limits to Growth. And this was like the original climate manifesto, which they've changed the branding a few times. But the main thesis was that the Earth is overpopulated. If we have as many people as we have now, the Earth is going to end. That's what they said back in the 60s. Now, they realized that offing a couple billion people wasn't a very good marketing technique. And so they, have changed it to global warming, global cooling. Eventually they settle at climate change. And you can follow the manifestos from the Club of Rome right through today. They say that the limits of the growth holds true today, but now they've kind of put it under this climate change banner, which is unfalsifiable, is one of the key things to remember about climate change. You can't prove it wrong. So when they tell you trust the science on stuff like this, I mean, that's not science.
It's not science. How does any of this tie into Bill Gates buying up farmland? Every day you wake up, there's a new article about Bill Gates, the largest farm owner. Bill Gates buying farmland. I don't know exactly what that means, but it doesn't sound good.
No, it's not good, Jesse. And we uncovered that basically Bill Gates is using a strategy that Microsoft employed in the 90s. It got it in trouble with antitrust regulators. The strategy, according to the Microsoft executives during the trial, was called Embrace, Extend, Extinguish, where Microsoft would kind of embrace this industry. The browser was the one in the 90s, the internet browser. They would extend their reach and they would put Internet Explorer software on every PC. And then eventually, once everybody had Internet Explorer, they would extinguish the competition. This was like Netscape browser. Bill Gates has adopted that. So right now he's in the embrace phase where he buys up more and more land. But next comes the extinguish phase, which is where he puts all the smallholder farmers out of business. Now there's this standard. It's called the Leading Harvest Standard. And of course, Bill Gates's farms are all on this standard. It claims to be sustainable and abiding by all the newest diktats of the climate change policies. But eventually, those regulations become too burdensome for the family-owned farms. It's using new types of fertilizer. This is how, you see the Dutch farmers protesting, and in Canada, they're protesting these new standards that all Bill Gates's farms will use. But regular farmers, the ones who've been doing this for generations, I mean, nobody knows sustainability like a farmer. They know how to not, use up all their resources and exhaust the resources. That's how they stay in business for generations. So Extinguish is coming, and it's very unfortunate.
He is Seamus Bruner. His book is called The Control Oligarchs. If you want to know who these people are, how they think, what their plans are, go pick it up. Seamus, I appreciate you very much. Go have a happy Thanksgiving. We have more.